Okay. I'm recording this Friday night, and this is suddenly, this 2:30 game, the second 2:30 game I'm predicting, suddenly looking like the biggest game of the week. If you don't know, this is Pitt at number 3 Clemson, and I'll explain to you why it's one of the biggest games of the week. Before going into this week, it was like, It's a possibility that we see Clemson get in there at that number 4 spot, or number 2 or 3, depending on what the College Football Playoff Committee decides to do, if Clemson wins against Notre Dame in the ACC Championship game. How that's looking, if Clemson wins out, and they win the ACC Championship game, that's looking like the most realistic possibility. But if they don't, hear me out here, if they lose one of their next few games, which is unlikely because they play Pitt, Virginia Tech, and Florida State, but if they crumple, they lose one of those games, then you're looking at a 2-loss Clemson. If they go and beat Notre Dame, what do? You're looking at a 1-loss Notre Dame game. I guess they go. But it's looking pretty crazy out there in the college football playoff. I say that just after tonight, when Oregon State beat Oregon, basically taking the Pac-12 out. When was the last time that the Big 12 and the Pac-12 have both been eliminated from the playoffs altogether? They're both not going in. So we're in a situation where it's going to be insane coming up. What are we going to do? If Clemson, it's going to be interesting down the stretch which teams are going to make it. And this is actually perfect if you're a Cincy and BYU fan. Perfectness. Nothing better could have happened tonight. I guess Notre Dame could have lost, which I was hoping UNC, but Oregon State winning was perfect for you because that leaves you an opening. If you take 2 Power 5 conferences out, you have 3 conferences. Why not add a fourth conference, American, or an independent like BYU? They have a case now. That was huge for them tonight. But what I'm talking about, this is a huge game. It's going to be on ABC now, thanks to stuff happening. But it's on ABC now. It was on ESPN, but now it's on ABC, and suddenly a huge game. Clemson needs to win this game. They need to win out to get to the playoffs, obviously, but then they also were like, there was a chance that Oregon, if they won out and they won the Pac-12, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you can put in Clemson over, but literally the Pac-12 should be out now. I mean, Oregon was the only one left that hadn't had a game canceled. A game canceled is huge because you're only playing 6. That's down to 5. You're not going to be able to get in with 5 wins. That's not happening. So, it was huge. Oregon losing tonight was literally the best thing for a lot of football teams that want to make the playoffs this year. Northwestern, Indiana, Texas A&M, Florida, Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame. You have room for error now that the Pac-12 is out. Though not a lot of room for error because there's still a lot of teams out there that really want to snatch that spot away from you, and there's a good amount of teams still alive in this playoff race. But that was huge. But Clemson's got to watch out for an upset here. And I understand what you're talking about, Eli. This is Pitt, but hear me out here. If you've watched any Pitt football this year, you know that team is literally, it's just up and down. It's impossible to predict what team's going to show up. But if the Pickens that shows up, that showed up against UCF a few years back, showed up against Penn State when they almost upset Penn State a few years back, and that was when Penn State was competing for playoffs. Not this Penn State that looks like freaking groundhogs trying to play football. Pitt is a good football team. This is the first time Trevor Lawrence is back, so I'm really hyped for this absolute shootout. I think Pickens can put up a lot of points. They're favored by 24 in this game. I think it's going to be a lot closer than that. Give me Pitt to cover against Clemson. But Clemson wins. This is a huge game for Clemson fans, though, because if you don't win, they have a serious shot at making the playoffs now that the Pac-12 is out.